have been a billion, million, possibly even more than 7 responses to Ben Cook's latest episode of Besmirching YouTube, Poor Attempts at Gender Politics edition, and it was almost, at least judging by Cook's definition of the period, an entire week ago. And yet I realised the internet couldn't rest until it had witnessed I too wading into the discussion, poorly constructed arguments and comically large net ready to aid my cause. There are problems with Cook's treatment of this issue, but my main problem with his video, and actually with a lot of the response videos, which in essence I agree with, is that I don't feel like many of them really consider the issue in depth. To start with, I feel like Ben had some great opportunities right at his fingertips, which he just never looked into. Firstly, the glaringly obvious fact that, despite in his last video trying to desperately shoehorn some diversity in there by adding 2 women and an American to the cast of his interviewees, for a video considering females and fame on YouTube, it severely lacked in famous female YouTubers. Yes, I heard the defence that Ben wished to represent the actual social architecture of YouTube and thus not weight his correspondence equally across gender lines when YouTube, or at least the highly subscribed mainstream avenues of YouTube, are not weighted equally across gender lines. But considering the topic of this video, an exception could have been made. Ben, you could have wandered beyond the actually very narrow aspects of YouTube you've chosen to interview. The fact that your video on why more women aren't big on YouTube didn't talk to or even really mention a single female YouTuber who had more than 300,000 subscribers shows a clear way in which you failed to open up and discuss important aspects of this issue. Secondly, let's consider Ben's mention of the average male vlogger's audience being 80% female. Yes, this is an important starting statistic and one you will find me using throughout, but it would have been great to see how this varied across female content creators or male creators whose content might have a more stereotypically male appeal, like Philip DeFranco or Tom Scott. It would have been great if this research had been done and then conclusions drawn from it. Similarly, I feel like having contact with people who work at YouTube, such as Hazel Hayes, Ben could have found out some statistics as to the percentage of content creators, or at least UK partners, who are in fact female, and thus again considered those statistics in relation to the question of gender he was posing. Ultimately, try as I might to complicate the issue of gender on YouTube, with my 3,000 subscribers and an intricate 1 woman and a white wall setup, I will never have the opportunity to speak to big and ostensibly female names on YouTube. I will never have access to their and other relevant statistics. So Ben, I feel sad that these opportunities, which I feel perhaps wrongly, you had access to, were not taken advantage of. Okay, so leaving behind for a second what he didn't do, what did Ben's video manage to achieve? Honestly, I wouldn't say much beyond its initial statement. Yes, of the crazy internet famous, a lesser proportion are endowed with vaginas. Yet in asking this, Ben, you never even consider what question it is you're really asking. It could be, why do less women make videos? It could be, why do women receive less recognition for their videos? It could be, as your video so often threatened to imply, why do women make less worthy videos? Having broken down the original why are there less women among the big names on YouTube into these 3 more direct questions, I feel we can tackle the issue more head on. This is the start of what will be a daily 4-part video series. I don't claim to be an expert on gender theory, models I present probably won't fit perfectly, and rather than answering questions, I may sometimes just be proposing new ones. But by the end of the series, I hope to have problematized something I feel is even now still being dismissed too simply. Over the next 3 days, I will consider 3 main topics: makeup gurus and female spaces on YouTube, performative aspects of gender among content creators, and tomorrow I will start looking at audiences. How are audiences gained? Is there an audience out there for content created by women? And why is the average YouTuber watched by an 80% female audience? I in no way intend these thoughts of mine to be the last word on the subject. I am very aware that the ideas I'm going to pose might at times be considered quite controversial, and there will probably just be entire elements I failed to consider. I'm hoping that these videos, as many of the videos that have been made over the past few weeks have done, just serve to spark further conversation. I do feel there are complex aspects of this subject which simply haven't been widely addressed. So I wish to plunge into the tumult of gendered interactions, and if not answer questions, at least drag hideous, malformed denizens of the deep to the surface for inspection. That was a weird metaphor. Anyway, I shall await your feedback in the comments. What did you think of Ben's video, and of the responses out there, and now I guess of my proposed responses? Other than that, I shall see you at this time tomorrow on the topic of audiences. Bye guys.